Welcome back, everybody, to Coach's Corner East on Wednesday, the 15th of September. I'm your host, Mike Sparks, and I'm here with the Colonel Crawford Eagle football team, and we're brought to you in part by Don Barr and Associates at the Galleon Building and Loan Bank, Matt Studer at Spitzer, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Kia, 1 mile east of the Richland Mall, Mark Osborne and Associates at E-Crane International, serving worldwide markets from the Galleon Industrial Park. And filling in tonight for head coach Ryan Teglovic, it's offensive coordinator Jake Bruner. Coach Bruner, so glad to have you aboard, and thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
High school football is really neat because you never really know what's going to happen when you're dealing with young people, student athletes, and you can draw things up on paper. You can talk about it in the media like we can. We can do predictions and things like that, and then crazy things happen. And but really, as we talked before we got started here, atmosphere. That's what makes Friday night so special. Yeah, you want to win every game, but it's experience and it's atmosphere. And you went over to Cary, and a game that most everybody in the area was looking forward to, thinking it was going to be the game of the area, and it really was. Didn't come out the way you'd hoped. Last year you beat them 16-7, and I think that really catapulted your season last year to do the things you did, and you were kind of hoping to carry on with a great non-league schedule, which you just blew everybody away. But things kind of turned a little bit, and Cary gets the win 35-17. I was looking over some of the numbers and things. They didn't throw a single pass in the second half because both lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball really controlled it. And defensively, they shut you out in the second half, and you did not get a first down in the entire second half. You were doing really well in the first half, and then all of a sudden things kind of changed. What was the biggest transition?
Well, I think number one, in the second half, give credit to Cary. Number one, there's a reason they were picked to win the N10 conference. They had a tremendous amount of kids back from a great team last year. Field position played a really big part of that. And two, they did a great job of running the ball, eating the clock, taking the ball out of our hands. And we got hurt by some penalties, extended some drives. And I think as a group, I was really proud of how our kids played their effort-wise. We had some guys that were missing on Friday night, and that's no excuse. But they wore us down in the second half. Number one, their size. I mean, you don't see too many teams that got 3 or 4 guys over 6'4" and over 300 pounds that are playing. Carson Carodi, is already signed to Youngstown State full scholarship, but he played some defense Friday night for the first time against us. Like you said, we did a great job. We thought we had a great first half, offense and defense. So we didn't play perfect. I mean, we fumbled the ball and gave them that first score. In the second half, we had some key penalties, jumping off sides on second down and 5, setting ourselves up behind the chains. They had a great job batting balls. We had some good screen looks. They batted some balls, and we got to do a better job, and that's including myself. As coaches, you look at what you do in the second half, and I wasn't patient enough in the second half. We got behind, probably didn't try to, establish some things I should have done, and so you look back and try to prove that, but not faulting our kids' effort. They played hard the entire game. We were really happy with just their effort. Sometimes you gain a lot from a loss. And I think our guys just needed to regroup, and it's a great thing for us. And we had a great week of practice, and we got a tough one on the road again this week, and our focus has to be on them.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you say that and we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But as the offensive coordinator, you only got to call 13 plays in the second half, and it's got to be frustrating.
It is, but, give credit to Cary. I mean, what we were worried about was, hey, they get the lead. They're going to milk the clock. They're going to hand the ball off to their running back that's 260 pounds, and they're going to be patient, and they were. And field position was so bad in the second half, and that's not an excuse, but it's tough to call plays when you're backed up in the goal line area, and I thought our defense honestly played pretty well. We just got worn down, and like I said, those it's a game of inches. So when they're getting it on 4th and 3 and running the clock and taking their time, it just gets you out of a rhythm. And I thought we were in a pretty good rhythm in the first half offensively. Our first drive was 3 and out. However, our first drive, we didn't execute on a couple key blocks, and we had a drop pass that would have been a big play. But I thought we executed offensively really well in the first half.
Yeah, you have 160 yards total offense, 158 of that in the first half, and I'm not going to just continue to beat that point. Your running back, Lincoln Mollenkoff, who's the N10 leading rusher going in, held to just 49 yards on 13 carries and -7 in the second half. Was that more because of their defensive line and the things that they were doing, or the offensive line just incapable of opening the holes that he needed?
I think he only had 2 carries in the second half, both of them for losses, and honestly, one of them was we just missed a key block, and give credit to them. They have some really good football players over there. I thought we did some good things at times, but when you play a great team, you got to do good things all the time. And we talked about it after the game. Listen, we didn't win the turnover battle. The first turnover, we gave them a touchdown. Their only turnover was right before half on the last play of the game, or last play of half. So they won the turnover battle. We didn't win it. We had key penalties that we shouldn't have had, and we lost the field position game. And really, when it comes down to that, they converted third down, and we didn't too.
Looking at your scoring, Lincoln Mollenkoff did get a 1-yard touchdown in the first quarter. Braxton Morgan kicked a 24-yard field goal in the second quarter, and then late in the half, Matt Kleinard, 7-yard touchdown run late in the half, and you led 17-14. Kamryn Lohr, who's here with us tonight, just 6 of 16 passing, 52 yards, rushed 9 times, 33 yards, and wide receiver Nolan McKibben was your leading receiver, 2 catches and 26 yards. But touch on that comment that you made, that sometimes through adversity, that's where a lot of great learning comes. And it's true in the classroom. You know, you do poorly on a quiz or a test, and that kind of opens your eyes a little bit, and you say, wow, I better wake up and change some habits and change the way that I'm doing things. How is that translated in what you and your coaching staff have talked about this week in practice to say, guys, it's one game, we got to turn around, we got a lot of season ahead of us?
Well, I think the mindset we've always told our kids is, we get upset in practice if we miss a block, we make the wrong throw, we make the wrong read. But in the reality is, you got to play the next play in football. And it's the same thing with a loss. Obviously we don't like to lose. But at the same time, we can gain a lot from this loss, and I think it can transpire to what we'll want to do the rest of the year. And, hey, I hope, truthfully, we get a chance maybe to see them down the road in the playoffs. Obviously, going to Cary is a great experience. People always tease me, I hate going to Cary. I love going to Cary. Cary's a football town. They love their football. There's guys outside the fence there drinking beer about 2 hours before the game, and they yell and scream. It's a great atmosphere, and I'm grateful that we get to coach our kids, and our kids get to have that kind of atmosphere. Kind of like when I was in school, it was like the old Crestline Hudson Stadium. Right. First time I walked down there, the old man was yelling at me, and I was like, holy moly, what am I getting myself into? But it's a great experience for our kids, and even though we had a tough loss, we're going to learn a lot from it moving forward.
Very good. Take a break here before we talk to the players around the table. We're brought to you in part by Stephen Chuck Keller at Keller Auto Parts, your Napa dealer, Uptown Galleon and Crestline. Marie Mounts at the Platinum Insurance Agency, your Progressive agent, 131 Harding Way East, Uptown Galleon, and Joe Kleiman Associates at the Galleon office of First Federal Bank of Ohio. Remind everybody you're listening to Coach's Corner East on the home of Iconic Rock, Q92.7. WQEL from Bucyrus, Ohio. Visiting with the players around the table from the Colonel Crawford football team. First up, we have Parker Ketterman. Hi, Parker. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. Position on the team?
Quick guard and defensive end.
Okay, and you're a junior, getting time, obviously, on both sides of the ball. Preference that you have, one or the other?
Love the defensive line.
Yeah, I get that more often than anything else. We like to hit people.
Yep.
So that being said, talk about the size and the skill of the Cary Blue Devils and what you saw, and kind of what that did more so in the second half of wearing you guys down.
Well, when you go out there and they're that much bigger than you, you just got to play your hardest. They worked us down in the second half, but I felt like we fought to the end as much as we could, and we didn't. We just sit there and take it. Yeah, I'm sure there was no giving up. But what's the biggest thing you personally learned from an experience like that you can take forward into week 5 and beyond? I learned even when I'm tired, I just got to stick to my rules and do what I do and trust the guys behind me.
Considering what happened in your first 3 games that were all running clock situations, did that hurt you a little bit in a game like Cary to not have as much time? Because let's face it, a lot of young kids were playing in the second half of those first 3 games. Did that play a part in that, you think?
Yeah, I think it hurt us because a lot of the guys were out in the second half of those first 3 games because it just hurt us in conditioning-wise against Cary because it was a 4-quarter game.
Yeah, maybe you talk to the schedule makers of sliding that game down a little farther in years to come or something. But yeah, it's a tough one to come right out of the gate in conference play and do that. Well, Coach said you're going to have your hands full. Upper Sandusky, much improved team. What do you expect to see out of them this week?
I expect a hard football game. Every time we play them, they always try their hardest. We just gotta be the better team.
Very good. Well, good luck this week, and thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Next up, we have Carter Jones as a junior as well. In fact, all juniors tonight. Hi, Carter. How are you?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Thank you for coming. Position on the team?
I'm a wide receiver and defensive back.
Okay. And didn't get to see many passes come your way because Cary likes to run the ball. How did you support your guys up front and try to slow down that run game?
I'm mainly a special teams player. I'm on every special team except for punt, return, and PAT.
Okay.
So my main goal is just block my guy across from me as hard as possible, make some room for the person behind me.
Your special teams have kind of shined this year, be it field goal, be it PAT, but also kickoff. I think you had a kick return for a touchdown, I believe. So, being part of that unit is pretty doggone important because there's 3 facets of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams, and you want to win every one of those. When you're going into these games and you're doing special teams or the hopes to do other things, the loss is not good, but what's the biggest learning experience you took away from it?
My biggest learning experience is that from a game like this, I need to focus on fundamentals more, not get too caught up, and just keep my head up.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to get caught up in all that other stuff. Just do your 1/11th and everything will be fine. Good. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Rodney Reich is next, junior as well. Hi, Rodney. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Position on the team?
I am a linebacker and offensive guard.
Okay, and what linebacker? Is it Mike, Sam, or Will?
I play Mike and Will.
Mike and Will. Do you have a preference one over the other?
I like Mike better.
Because you're in the middle and
Yep.
of the popcorn popper, so to speak. And when stuff's flying around, you got big linemen coming your way, and then you got a 265-pound Jordan Vallejo coming at you. What are you thinking?
Oh, you got him low.
Yeah, he probably doesn't like that real well when you go below the knees, but is that hard to take on a blocker and then a guy like that up high, right?
Oh, yeah. It's terrible.
So now you're going to see a little bit different this week. It's an Upper Sandusky team that likes to throw. What is your assignment defensively now? How does that change?
Usually for Mike linebacker, you got to get deep middle and just find the crossing and receiver and try to block it.
So you're getting your drops, and that's probably what you've been working on.
Yep.
You're looking for crossers, and it not necessarily a tight end. It could be a slot or a guy crossing, and then you have to decide what to do from there. What have you seen on film as you've watched them? Is there anything particular you're going to have to do special that you haven't done in the past?
Well, in the past, I usually read the guards and run for the run, but this might be different and have to go more pass.
Very good. Well, good luck this week against the Rams. Should be a great game.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Next up, we have Gabe Few, and thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Position on the team?
Linebacker and front guard.
Okay, so what linebacker are you?
Mike.
You're a Mike as well. Okay, so you guys kind of change up and decide which one is going to go where, or Coach DeGray probably decides what's going to go on, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, and offensively, where have you made the biggest improvement from week 1 through week 4? You personally?
On pass blocking, we've gotten a lot better from week 1, getting him time to throw it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you come in, you didn't get the win at Cary, you got to go back on the road, kind of back over into that area, back over into Wyandotte County, and it's a team like some of you guys have said, they give you trouble all the time. How quickly do you think, or how easy, I guess I should say, is it going to be to rebound this week and get right back in the winning column?
It's gonna be a lot harder than you got to go hard every single play this week because this game's more important than any other game this season, really, because it's a rebound game and it can jumpstart us for the rest of the year.
Is there any more pressure now that there's one loss to say, we just can't afford to do that anymore? We've got to stay in the race and hope like heck somebody knocks off Kerry. Is it more pressure, or is it more you get amped up and say, hey, we got another opportunity, we just got to get out there and win?
Yeah, I just get real amped up from it. We got to win the rest of our games and try and get as far in the playoffs as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Well, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. Finally, we have quarterback Kamryn Lohr. And hi, Cam. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Last time I talked to you was a really hot day. You were having your first scrimmage against Edison, and you were getting ready to be a first-time quarterback for a starting position. Where have you seen your progression, and how happy are you at this point after 4 weeks almost to the halfway point?
I mean, I'm pretty happy about our passing and even running the ball, but there's always more things you can improve on, and I definitely think that I have to improve as the year goes on.
As the offensive coordinator, Coach Bruner over here, I'm sure expects a lot out of you, your linemen, your backs, receivers. And as he's gone and worked with you through practice and things, where have you seen your biggest growth? What has just gotten better?
I mean, I feel like, honestly, the leadership coming in to the starting quarterback, it's a little scary, but these guys around me have really helped me out, and we're getting the job done.
Well, when you have a back like Lincoln Mollenkopf, I'm sure that took a lot of pressure off because you kind of ran him a lot and he stoked up the yards. But you're going to get in a game where you're going to have to be asked to throw because they're going to get that shut down. Are you prepared for that, ready to do what it takes to do that?
Yeah, I'm very prepared.
Okay, very good. Well, good luck this week against Upper Sandusky. Continued success, and hopefully you go deep in the playoff run when it gets there, but not too quickly. I'm sure Coach doesn't even want to talk about that, right? So we'll talk to him in just a moment about that. Take a break here and remind everybody that our show is brought to you in part by the Burkhart family at the Burkhart Farm Center, your Case IH dealer, straight west of Gallion on the Manette, New Winchester Road. Mike Kleinett at Ag Credit Residential Lending, Bucyrus Mount Gilead and Marion, and Sweet Baby Ray Jones at Ohio Door and Sash, 120 South Street in Gallion. And back to the microphone we go with offensive coordinator and assistant coach Jake Bruner. And Coach, Upper Sandusky is on the schedule this week. You have to travel again, back over to Wyandotte County. They are now 2-2. A team that has struggled over the past years are starting to put it together a little bit. Good numbers, and they're 1-0 in the Northern 10. Russell Hall has his kids playing really, really well. They beat Mohawk this last week, 27-13. Mohawk team that maybe is down a little bit, but still, they're Mohawk football. They play well. Their quarterback, Caden Holman, threw for 244 yards, rushed for another 64, and he had 4 TDs. And wide receiver Zach Schaefer, 6 receptions on 126 yards and 2 TDs. What's your biggest concern about the Rams?
I have a lot of concerns about Upper Sandusky. I think, like you said, they've been struggling to try to kind of get into the top half of our league for a couple of years. Coach Hall's been there as an assistant a long time before this. And, you look at some of their losses, River Valley, that was a close game. And you look at the Gallion game with Upper, it was 10-0 in the fourth quarter, and they were playing really hard. Upper's offensively is very scary. Their quarterback has done a nice job, does a great job with RPOs. They've got 2 of the leading receivers in the N10 conference, and honestly, they've got some running backs too. So offensively, our defense is really going to have to play well Friday night for us to win. And then defensively, they have Coach Biaha's back on the defense. They're very disciplined. They run to the ball, attacking style, and they got some guys that really worry us on the defensive side of the ball as well. So we're going to have our hands full Friday night. They're a team that I think they got 61 guys out. The numbers are better. They've been playing a lot of young kids. Those young kids are obviously older now. And even though they have a young quarterback, he started the second half of the season last year as a quarterback as a freshman. So he is experienced. And they're really trying to push in the top half of the league here. And this is a big game for them too. So.
Sure, and when you start to get wins, when you haven't experienced wins, not cockiness, but you start to, it feels pretty good. And sometimes when that gets a roll in it, it's hard to shut down. They know you're coming off a loss, and they have an opportunity to do something that probably most people say that can't be done.
Yep. And like I said, they have some good skill athletes. They're very big up there too. They have good size, and they've got a good host of athletes both at receiver, quarterback, and like I said, size of the line. So a lot of concerns there.
Well, good luck. You are our WQEL Game of the Week. Josh and Jeff will be over at Upper Sandusky bringing you all the play-by-play. And best of luck to you and the Eagles. Get back in the win column, and thanks so much for coming out tonight.
Thanks so much for having us, Mike.
You bet. Take care.